try to carry a ton of momentum there. You can kind of cut down real low and then kind of cut off, kind of make a solid arc all the way through. Or you could kind of run the middle lane and turn down ever so slightly off the corner. Really depends. As I'm imagining drivers will have different approaches, particularly as they get into traffic and are able to kind of take advantage of the cars ahead of them through the draft to maximize their exit speed heading down that long front straightaway.
They most certainly will. Now, you saw Indy, he touched 220 miles an hour going down the front straightaway. You want to cut that, you want to cut turn one all the way down to the bottom if you can. You will see multiple lines through there, Jacobs. Guys up against the fence, guys all the way down near the apron. Turn number two, stock, just like Indianapolis. Get down to that white line. Get back out against the fence. And turn number three, well, I don't know how many lanes there are officially in turn number three, but it's basically unlimited, Jacob. You can run right against the rumble strips, you can run up against the wall, and you can go anywhere in between. Indy Kirkenbauer, the prodigy, across the line, and he is currently 14th. Quick as we end qualifications here at Pocono. And that is going to lead us to a starting grid. On the pole, Anna Klimek. And Anna has had a week, Jacob. 220.671 miles an hour. She won Monday night top split Mexico City. She won the Tuesday night top split at Iowa. On the pole here tonight, Casey Povolone is the cheese man. He will start second. Mason Mitchum, Lilac Zier, row three, Alan Berteau, and our good friend Marco Aurelio Brazil. 7th and 8th will be Blaze Andrews and Caleb Brashear. Logan Edwards and Ty Keela are going to round out your top 10. In 11th, Frisky Frankie Wynn, Kyle Clintworth. The Clinty will be 12th. Matt Hollybaugh 13th. Indy Kirkenbauer, Guillermo Miguel, Chris Albrecht, Crash Neon, Jason Brophy,
Unknown Caller,
Robert Malechka and Matt Taylor will round out your top 20. In 21st, Seb Alexander, Rashad Craig, Alistair Khan, Alice Spice, and Tyler Villamere. Villamere and Spice, the two low I ratings. And we had a bunch of cars, Jacob, choose not to qualify.
Yeah, it's just one of those tracks where if you've got a strong car and know where to put it and are able to make your way through the field, it's not too difficult. And especially given that I imagine we'll see a good number of these drivers opt to do a little bit of fuel saving here. As we've got an 80-lap event on tap, I'd imagine the fuel mileage situation is not too dissimilar to that we see at Indianapolis, where you're seeing maybe 35, 36 on the extreme end of just how much gas you can save. So really just depends on how much mileage these drivers are looking to stretch, maybe get that overcut strategy to play out in their favor.
Absolutely. It's going to be an interesting time here, Jacob, as we look at the grid. To me, this track can race any one of three ways. The first is it can be very, very packy. You'll see the drivers all in a line. The second way that this can work is that you can really see it stretched out, and and then the third way that you can see this happen is there can be a fuel mileage race, and so you're going to see pretty much any one, if not all of those things, and they could all happen at the same time, Jacob.
You can also see that garner into a big push of momentum with a very long draft envelope around this 2.5 mile triangle.
Indeed you can. I appreciate everybody's patience. Had a bit of a snafu there, Jacob, with the audio, but we're all good now. So one of the things that I have learned now, Jacob, is that my phone connects to the computer, and it decided it wanted to ring. Apparently, that ringtone indicated that my kids are on a 2-hour delay for tomorrow, so they get to sleep in. How about that?
Certainly a Christmas gift come wildly late. Drivers are working off turn number 3, though. We're going to get a Christmas gift come late ourselves with this race here from Pocono.
We most certainly will. Barney is going to have the green flag in his hand. Anna Klimek is going to lead him to the starting line. 80 laps
green flag.
here at Pocono, and we are underway now.
Strong launch for Mason Mitchum on the inside. He'll slot into second ahead of teammate Casey Povolones. They're going to try to get lined up single file, I have no doubts, but Mason's going to look to the outside just a little bit here, know that he's got something to work with here at the front of the field.
Already popping out Mason Mitchum, and he's going to try to go to the lead with Anna Klimek. From Anna Klimek, Povolones, Berteau, Zaire round out the top 5. They're all getting more or less into single file now. The closest battle on the track is Blaze Andrich. He's going to look to the bottom of Lilac Zaire as they pan out through turn number 3.
Yeah, we're seeing 3, maybe 4 distinct lanes throughout the field on that opening lap through turn 3. Klemek's going to look to the inside of Mitchum into turn 1 here. They'll go side by side briefly. I believe Klemek's going to clear heading off into the corner.
Anna Klimek does so. Mason Mitchum in hot pursuit. There they are, and they have a bit of a gap now, about half a second, back to Casey Povolones. And this is where you kind of see the start to the fuel save strategy, Jacob. Already, we're seeing a lot of drivers start to get in line. They don't want to burn fuel because this is essentially a 2-stopper. But that second one has the ability to be a short one, doesn't it?
Yeah, you could shorten it up a good bit, especially given by that point you'll be basically wanting to splash and dash it to the finish. We expect that fuel mileage to kind of sit where we're expecting it to. So certainly a lot of games to be played here as we're seeing cars remain double file throughout the rest of the field deeper in.
Yeah, that's Lilac Zaire. She was trying to get to the inside.
Oh!
Go, trouble! Seb Alexander and Jeremy Miguel, I believe. Trouble on the backstretch. Hard contact for Seb Alexander. Jeremy Miguel also involved. We saw him involved in contact last night in the Dark Horse California 240, and that is a meatball for both Jeremy Miguel and Seb Alexander. We're going to go back into the Wayback Machine and see what we can see, Jacob. It appears to me as this is going to be a basic come off of turn number 1. The cars kind of funnel together over there. You got Jeremy Miguel up high. You see they're trailing Frisky Frankie and Clindy there. Seb on the bottom. Jeremy Miguel is going to come off the corner and try to move down and pass Frankie. And there you go.
And that's a tough thing to judge, too, because the closing speed off the corner seems to come at you much, much faster than the closing speed coming into it. And with those, as long as these straightaways are, it's very difficult to get an idea of just how fast your car is traveling relative to those around you, particularly ones close in proximity like that with Alexander and Miguel, basically right alongside of each other heading off of turn number 1.
Yeah, here we go. We're gonna see it from Seb Alexander's roll bar. He's right down on the bottom. Both of those cars, incidentally, in clean air. And you see the whole shot from Jeremy Miguel off the corner. He moves down and right into the path of Seb Alexander. And Seb is going to take a wild tumble. Lands it on all fours, though. We'll have to give him a 6.79 from the East German judge. Seb Alexander is going to be an early pedestrian here in the Indy Open Series Pocono 200. Do want to thank everybody for joining in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so you can be notified of all future iRacing content just like this one. We're watching Casey Povolones in third, Anna Klimek second. Mason Mitchum is your leader. Speaking of Anna Klimek, Jacob, she did something last week. That has not been done in a very long time. By the way, we have some split pit strategies. Kyle Clinworth is leading about half the field down the pit lane.
Doesn't seem like a bad opportunity to do it. You know, he's kind of sitting dead middle of the field, more or less. So he'll be looking to get on the jacks, take some tires, get the tank topped up, maybe try to use this to an advantage to run this first fuel stint a little further out.
You know, he most certainly has. Christopher Albrecht, Robert Maleska, Jason Brophy, Rashad Craig, Matt Taylor, All-Star Khan, and Ella Spice all came down to pit lane. So from 16th on back, we have our first pit action. And you're right, that's not a bad idea given the fuel mileage nature of this track. If you can stretch that out, you might could have an advantage at the end. Again, a shorter pit stop. It also may allow you to get racier a little bit sooner.
Well, I think some of it's that. Another thing is that you're deep enough in the field where the track position isn't really just going to magically come your way anyway. So you might as well kind of throw the dice early, get that extra fuel, see if you kind of eke it out, work smarter, not harder, and make the passes through the pit lane rather than on the track.
Very good point there. Do want to point out there have been some team transactions in the past few weeks. Some new liveries. Gone for Matt Taylor is the MadWorks Neon, in with the camo of Team I5G, and there he is, the Demerit Engines emblem on the back of that Dallara. And so that's a car that you're going to be seeing that is newer to the fans out here. That is Matt Taylor's new Team I5G livery. Mason Mitchum is in a car that I could only describe as Batman, Jacob. That's black with purple wheels, got some red lettering on that Votive Racing League machine. That's a good-looking car, too.
I believe they're calling that the Night Watch schemes. For those unfamiliar, it's kind of the iRacing After Dark squad. They call it the Night Watch. They go and roll in all the late night races and teach the kids how to do it, I guess.
as if they're old timers, right, Jacob? But good to see the painters at work for certain sure. Frisky Frankie Wynn also with a new one, Play Asia on the side of his machine. That's one that we haven't seen in these top splits for a good while. All sorts of fun liveries to be had here, Jacob.
That's part of what makes this community so much fun, is getting to see what people slap on their various IndyCar and Indy adjacent machinery.
You know, it could be worse. You could have a car rolling around out there painted like a chicken. Who would do such a thing? Who knows, right?
I might know a guy. You might know a guy. That guy might be you.
It could be. It could very well be. You are watching the IndyCar Open Series Top Split live here on P1. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1. If you are so inclined, there is a donate button for our ongoing GoFundMe. These races are not free to produce, and so if you'd like to throw a little coin our way, the link is in the comments. We are getting ready to throw the green flag back out. Mason Mitchell going to lead him down. Anna Klimek, the pole sitter, second. Then Pobolonis, Berto, and Zier.
Single file restart. Cars will remain single file for the time being, but I'd imagine these three cars at the front, they're working together in some capacity, the kind of newly labeled entente between Votive Racing and Taylor Mills Racing, showing on full display at the front of the field that they've got something to prove here on the big track at Pocono.
You know, they most certainly do, and friends here can be extremely important, not just for drafting purposes. There are several lines, as I mentioned earlier, through turn 3. There's really only 2 through turn 1, and if you get 3 or 4 cars up there at the front, you can really block off the attack from anybody behind you. They've got 3. Alan Berto looking to split that up a little bit. Berto is going to drop to the inside of Pobolonis. That'd be for third.
A 2x2 at the front of the field. Klimek and Mitchum, Berto and Pobolonis. And it'll be 2x2 behind them between Andrich and Zier through turn 1. And it looks like the bulk of the fields actually remain roughly right on top of each other.
You know, they most certainly have. Now that bottom line run through turn 1, Jacob, that can be kind of like fool's gold to me. It feels really good. Blaze Andrich is going to throw it down. He's going to make it 3 wide into the tunnel. That doesn't necessarily work. And we get a network connection. Andrich comes out the other side. He makes it work. But Jacob, that bottom line through turn 1 can really, and I mean really, seem like fool's gold. It feels so great to get down there, but my goodness gracious, you lose so much speed coming off. The car on the outside almost always drafts right back by you. If you cannot make that pass stick going down a Long Pond straightaway, you're almost always going to be at a disadvantage when you get to the tunnel. Power move by Blaze Andrich. He's looking to go past Alan Berteau. The road racer Andrich, he's moved into the 4th place now, Jacob.
Yeah, you talk about it being a bit of a fool's gold decision to kind of drop down that low. I kind of view it similar to how you would see on most dirt tracks. Kind of that's the slider line, if you will. You want to chuck it in there nice and deep, slide up the track, and kind of park it and give that outside car a very difficult time trying to use that momentum that they're building up on that high lane.
That is a great analogy, Jacob. I like that quite a lot, actually. The slider move. Let's jump and see if we can't get on board with Caleb Brashear. There's Caleb. He is currently running in 9th. He's got Indy Kirkenbauer behind him. Look at how they fan out going through turn 3. I think there would be a car in almost every slot through there. And Caleb Brashear trying to find the clean air. And, of course, he's going to have problems because here comes the prodigy, Indy Kirkenbauer. He's looking to the bottom, thinks better of it. Indy now going to flash to the high side of Brashear.
Well, you want to talk about dirt track experience. Indy's got a good bit of that in droves. He'll work the high lane to get the momentum garnered up and make the pass on Brashear heading down that straightaway into turn 2. Glenworth in tow almost.
Yeah, Clindy popped out there. He thought about getting to the bottom and making that move. He thought better of it. Now he's going to go down to the bottom on Caleb Brashear as we get to turn 3. This is the Milwaukee corner. Clindy all the way to the bottom. He got a little bit of slack from Indy Kirkenbauer there. Kirkenbauer ran the fence in his pursuit of the battle between Lilac Zier and Matt Hollybaugh. Here's these two as they come down. They are 7th and 8th. Zier has been moving on Hollybaugh for the last 2 or 3 laps. Can't seem to quite get it done, but that battle continues to rage. Right behind them, Brashear has dropped to the inside of Clinworth.
Yeah, very difficult to get away from cars once they're kind of nestled into a draft like that. We're going to see Brashear back way out of that move into turn 2 with Clenworth on the outside there. Clendy's going to go to the inside in 3 here. He'll try to make the move on Kirkenbauer heading down the front stretch.
Not a great qualifying effort for Kyle Clenworth. He started in 10th. He made an early pit stop, dropped to 16th. Clindy has already made his way back up to 9th. At a decided tire and fuel advantage, and Kyle Clenworth is coming to the front. They're riding the top in turn number 1. That's going to let Clindy get to the bottom, and Clindy is now zeroing in on Lilac Zaire.
And the thing is, he stayed committed to where he wants to put his car pretty much lap after lap. We've watched him work the bottom in 3, pretty much every lap around the speedway here. He's worked the high side in 1. He'll go to the high side this time in 3 to try to get out of the tracks of 0 ahead, prioritizing that clean air on the front of that car to try to make it go as fast as it possibly can. We're starting to see this battle for the bottom step of the podium bunch back up as bottom of the top 5 rather, bunching back up with Berteau, Hollibaugh, Zier, and Clendy all getting within about a half second of one another.
Yeah, that is Matt Hollibaugh. He dropped to the bottom of Alan Berteau. Turn 1 couldn't make it work. Now he goes to the bottom again. That is the satellite racing entry of Matt Hollibaugh. And remember, the cars of Hollibaugh, Clenworth, Rashad Craig, also Seb Alexander, Blaze Andrich, those cars are all very similar. There is a technical alliance between those 3 teams, Rogue Racing, Indy Alliance, and Satellite Racing, and they came to play here tonight, Jacob. They've got Clindy in 7th now, Hollibaugh in 9th, Andrich is in 4th. Those cars are all headed to the front as well. Another car that you would expect to be extremely quick on an oval, there's Marco Brazil, and Marco is running a very solid 5th. Not only that, we have not seen the normal drop-off in pace that is associated with that Team Brazil car.
I think if there's one track that Marco knows better than any other, it's Pocono. If you've ever raced Marco and you catch Pocono week, he is here every single slot, ripping around the triangle here in the Pocono Mountains. I think he's got a favorite out here on the triangle, and he makes it known each and every time we come here.
Most certainly does. Clindy going to drop to the bottom of Alan Berteau. Going into turn number 1, Berteau going to take the high side. Clindy on the bottom. Now he's going to make that slider work. Again, Brazil cut him a break, and Lilac's ears in the wall. Lilac's ear pounded the wall in at the exit of turn number 1. Let's get back and see if we can't have a look at that, Jacob. Here she is. This is out of turn number 3. She's in tow behind Clindy and Alan Berteau, and that's going to be meatball-inducing damage for Lilac's ear. That's usually in these cars, Jacob. You get a meatball, it's going to be night over.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like the right front of that car disappeared and came back, so I'm imagining there's at least some form of suspension damage on the right side of that IR18. Likely night over, but it is important to keep in mind that depending on how the extent of that damage, it's possible for her to maybe get back into a lead lap situation, pending how difficult that may be. But that is likely night done for her.
Yeah, and there you see the contact. It just understeered coming off the corner. She's still out there, hoping and praying for a caution, but eventually, Jacob, she is going to have to respect that meatball and come into the pit lane.
And that's always the toughest one to swallow, is when it's basically seemingly a mistake rather on yourself, and you don't really got anybody else to blame for it other than the hands on the wheel.
That is very true. Looking back, you're going to have a battle brewing. Marco Brazil has now gotten past Alan Berteau, and Indy Kirkenbauer, the prodigy, he's looking to see if he can't get by. Matt Hollyball also once passed. Caleb Brashear, that contact Brazier has let Caleb Brashear back into this fight as well. The contact really kind of broke apart the two packs. They are within draft range, and so I would expect here, especially with as fast as you see Hollyball work to the outside. Berteau nearly got in the fence, but you're going to see these. You're going to see this pack compact right back together. Nobody's lost the draft as yet. Lilac's ear is going to have to answer the meatball this time, this next time through, or she's risking a disqualification. For those Lilac's ear fans out there, do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. If you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing action. It's a doubleheader tonight. We've got the Indy Next Series up at 8:30. Or excuse me, it's 9 o'clock, right, Jacob?
Yes.
9 o'clock right here on P1. And then tomorrow night, it's a triple header, Jacob. We've got tomorrow night, it is a triple header. You've got the INDYCAR Oval Series kicking it off at 7:15 Eastern. At 8:30, it's going to be Jacob Collins with the Indy Next Series. And then tomorrow night, we've got a treat and a half for everybody. It's the Area 51 INDYCAR Series. Actually, Jacob, they're going to make a liar out of me. They got the week off. So next week it'll be a triple header. They're at Atlanta for a drafting contest. How about that?
The Atlanta Super Speedway, as we like to call it.
Yes, sir. This is the battle. This is the best battle on the track. It's going to be between Marco Brazil and Matt Hollyball. Brazil in the blue aqua, in the navy aqua and yellow machine. He and Matt Hollyball had been right together. Brazil going to pull it away. Clindy, meanwhile, he's charged all the way to the front. Kyle Clinworth is working over Casey Povolonis. This is the battle for third, and that's been impressive from that number 4 machine.
Well, I think the real impressive thing is Casey Povolonis is basically just sat behind his two allied or even direct teammates ahead of him in Mason Mitchum and Anna Klemek. And he's just kind of played the anchor on that front couple, too. You've got, Kyle Clinworth and Blaze Andrews rounding out that top 5 there. And I think all 5 of those cars are kind of putting themselves in a spot where they're going to, be considered front runners towards the end of this race should the fuel strategy go the way of either of them. They're going to be, they want to be the first cars on their respective strategies.
They most certainly do. Do want to point that out. Of course, Clindy is the leader of the group that stopped under the first yellow light 5 laps into the race. The next car down is this man, and he's just worked his way into the top 10. That's Ty Keela. Ty is now pulled up on the back of Indy Kirkenbauer, and he is 10th. And Ty Keela, that would be a massive improvement for him. He was 17th after that pit stop, so he's gained 7 spots, right back to where he started, but looking for more on Indy Kirkenbauer and Alan Berteau. Berteau has slid back quite a bit, Jacob. Berteau started 5th. He was 4th for a while. He's back to 8th and seemingly falling backwards.
Yeah, it's been a slow fall backwards. I think the big thing for Allen is that he's had cars from deeper in the field kind of work their way forward. You see the likes of Hollabaugh, Clenworth, even Kirkenbauer working on him now. They've come from deeper in the field, maybe with a bit more lackluster qualifying efforts as Kirkenbauer's in the wall.
Yeah, Indy Kirkenbauer kind of slapped the wall coming off of turn number 3 there, and that's going to let both Ty Keela and Caleb Brashear get past him. So Brashear will move it back into the top 10. You see Indy, he's fallen back to 11th. The battle, though, is at the front. Kyle Clenworth is still working over Casey Povolone is the cheese man, and that's let Blaze Andrich back into this fight. Matt Hollybaugh has now caught it. Alan Berteau has moved back around Marco Brazil. I think those cars are swapping, trying to catch this lead group.
Yeah, you have to imagine you're going to have to get your friends together and work your way forward at some point here. We are starting to get relatively deeper into this fuel run here. We talked maybe the extreme end being 35 laps. We're working on to lap 26. It won't be too long before I think we start seeing a couple cars heading down that really long pit lane down the front stretch here. Yeah,
with the caution, it would be about lap 30. We do have a question from the audience. Lone Ginger wants to know if these cars side draft in the sim or in real life, just like they do in NASCAR. The answer to that question is yes, they do side draft, and no, it is not like NASCAR. So draft in NASCAR, you can get the side draft with very little effort. All you really need to do is be on somebody's left rear. As we've got a crash trouble, Kyle Clenworth, Casey Povolone is hard into the wall at the start-finish line. Caution is on the speedway. Clindy with a big accident. Casey Povolone is coming off at turn number 4.
And that doesn't look too unlike the last incident that Clenworth had here at Pocono, I believe, for the end of either the ISRA series in season 2 or Votive. I can't remember which one, but him and Tristan Fortson got glued together heading down the front stretch to the line.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a blink right there and we didn't catch it. But Clindy and Povolonis come together off of turn number 3. They had been side by side for quite some time, and that's a danger of Pocono. You see multiple cars blinking in the background. Logan Edwards does some of that as well. Do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can be notified of all future iRacing action. There are the 2 damaged cars of Povolones and Kyle Clenworth. To finish my answer about the side draft, yes, you can. No, it doesn't work like NASCAR exactly, and it is something that is rarely advised for all but the very best. And so the window to pack the air in an IndyCar is very small. It is very deliberately done, and essentially, in order for the side draft to work, you need the right front wing end plate almost exactly even with the left rear wheel of the car in front. What that does is it'll pull the air over the car in front of you quicker, which gives it more downforce, but it also gives it more drag. It doesn't pack air like a stock car would. But I hope that answers Lone Ginger. I hope that answers your question. So yes, there is a side draft. No, it's not the same in either cause or effect, and it is very, very chancy because you have to get very, very, very close to the car next to you. Anna Klimek is going to win the race off pit lane, and if I'm not mistaken, Jacob, Blaze Andrich may have beaten Mason Mitchum off a pit lane. If not, that was very, very close.
Looks like scoring's going to give it to him out of the pit lane there, so it looks like he'll have it. See if that ultimately changes the dynamic of the race at the front of the field. We saw Clemic and Mitchum working alongside one another, back and forth and back and forth. If there's a car in between them, that might not be as easy to do.
You're absolutely right. Looking off the back of the pace car at the Taylor Mills Racing entry of Anna Clemic, Blaze Andrich is now going to be second, and Blaze has split that TMR VRL group up a little bit. Blaze Andrich out of the Rogue Racing stables, and of course he'll be working with Matt Hollybaugh in fourth, Ty Keela in sixth, and so the Alliance is starting to show its muscle. They lost a big bullet in that chamber, but they've got 3 cars in the top 6 now. Now,
it looks like Alan Bertot's kind of gotten the best of that since he's back inside the top 5 now.
He most certainly has. A couple of cars that you want to keep an eye on that we haven't really talked about all that much, Jacob, and we haven't really focused on them. In 11th, and they're starting to creep forward. This is the Power Slide Team Hype machine of Jason Brophy. He lies in 11th. 13th is Robert Malechka. And 14th is Rashad Craig. That is in order 2 pro drivers and a Indy Open Series champion. They are 11th, 13th, and 14th. Very slowly and carefully working their way forward. Matt Taylor in the Team I5G machine is in 15th, right behind him. That's 4 very fast cars that have not yet shown any muscle in this one. And with 29 of 80 laps gone, Jacob, it's about time for those machines to start making it to the front.
Yeah, it's certainly been a game of biding their time through the opening portion of this race. I think as we approach kind of that halfway mark, we'll start to see them show their hand, if you will, and work their way to the front.
You would not expect Brophy, Malechka, Craig, and Taylor to finish 11th, 13th, and 14th. Win it all, 13th, 14th, and 15th. When all this comes down to checkered flag time. I did want to point out though, Jacob, this field is a very strong one. The strength of field here, 4,800 and change. The strength of field here, 4,800 and change, just short of that magical 5,000 mark. There were only 2 cars that were under a 4,000 I rating that got into this race, Ella Spice and Tyler Villamere. And to tell you how strong that is, Jacob, the average I rating is 1250. So this is a stout field indeed.
Outfield about to be unleashed. Pace car's coming down.
Pace car is down. Pace car is off. Green flag is in the air one more time. We are going to get lap 30 under the green light. Racing resumes.
Solid jump for Bertot. He'll be all over the back of Hollibaugh, as is Mitchum on Andrich. We'll see if he opts to make any move before the end of the opening lap here from the restart.
Do want to point out that this did kind of negate the fuel strategy. It's just a simple one stop from here. Everybody can turn it all the way up and go full tilt. And turn it up and go full tilt, this man right here did. He went from 13th to 11th on the restart. Robert Malechka has worked his way past Marco Brazil, and the next car up on Rob's hit parade, well, that's going to be Frisky Frankie Wynn. Wynn is going to go side by side with Indy Kirkenbauer going into turn 1. Malechka has the best seat in the house for that battle. He'll drop to the bottom and try to follow Frankie Wynn through on board with Robert Malechka. And this is going to be interesting because Malechka is now wanting to get to the front. These two are having their own private battle, Jacob. Let's see if Rob can get through this. He's going to need to get through it quick because they're going to start to lose the draft in front if they're not careful. He's going to go to the outside. He's going to go to the outside of Kirkenbauer, and that's going to be the advantage coming off of turn number 4. He's going to have the draft. Brophy's going to swing to the bottom. Now Malechka 3 wide briefly. Now 2 wide. He's going to go past Frankie Wynn. Scored 2 cars in one corner for Robert Malechka. He moves into 9th.
Yeah, the charge is coming, and the charge is coming fast from that private label Team Hype Power Slide Motorsports machine. Working his way quickly through the field. We'll see if he's got anything for the rest of the guys ahead of him very quickly here, as he's going to work his way further into the top 10 now.
He most certainly is. Klimek and Mitchum continue to swap the lead at the front. Meanwhile, the cars that I highlighted under the caution, Rob Malechka, he is leading that charge. He's going to get underneath Frisky Frankie Wynn and move himself into the 9th spot. Next up on Rob's private little hit parade, well, that's Chris Albrecht.
You know, Chris has put up a quiet run here just inside the top 10, too. You know, he started just down deeper in about 16th. He's kind of worked his way, just kind of having a quiet night. And a top 10 result, I don't think would be anything to sneeze at for Chris here tonight.
Do want to point out that Lilac Zier has made it back onto the speedway 4 laps down in 22nd. That accident between Klindworth and Povolones should gain her another couple of spots, and that's important for the ever-important iRating. You're watching Rob Malechka as he tries to get past Chris Albrecht. This is a battle for 8th. The front of the field is more or less status quo. Mitchum, Klimek, and Andrich continue to swap. Tykila and Matt Hollybaugh 4th and 5th, and Caleb Brashear has moved into 6th. There is going to be eventually a battle here. Malechka now gets past Albrecht. There is eventually going to be a point here in the next few laps where Rob Malechka gets to that top 5 or top 6 that are all in a row. And then the fun, I think, Jacob, is really going to begin.
Yeah, you've got to imagine once Rob gets in his usual position at the front of the field, he's going to have a lot to be able to kind of show why he's been the king of the IndyCar on the ovals the good while here. Because obviously he's been one of the biggest names in the sim for that very reason, especially in that IndyCar Pro Series.
He is, and that's a guy in the Indy. You know, that's a pro driver. That's also a guy that won both the broadcasted Indy 500s this year. He's won the Elite Racing League Fixed 500 several times. He's won the Hoosier 500. That is a very tough machine to deal with when you get to an oval in this car. And everybody around him is going to know that, Jacob. There's a reason we're focusing on Rob. It's not because we do like him, but it's not because we're buddies. it's because he's worth the price of admission. He's going to get past Brashear. Now he's going to go past Alan Berteau. Rob Malechka has gone to the 6th spot.
And the big challenge now will be how fast can he potentially close up this gap to the top 5, being trailed by Matt Hollybaugh. Got the likes of Klimek and Mitchum going back and forth for the lead again. You know, believe that's going to be Andrich and Keela kind of playing shotgun to that battle or that kind of swap back and forth, and they're almost getting close to 3 or 4 wide heading off into turn 1 there.
They are. They're pulling what I would like to call what has been called the triple swap. So they're moving forward almost in a conveyor belt fashion. Jason Brophy was the green car you saw nearly get sideways coming off of turn number 1 in the background there. He's to the inside of Alan Berteau. Brophy has started to pull himself forward. Matt Taylor and Rashad Craig really have not been able to go, not really been able to make that much progress. Matt Taylor 13th, Rashad Craig 15th. We'll keep our eye on those two as well, but they have not shown the same amount of pace as Malechka and Brophy, who have come from what amounts to 13th to 6th and 7th here.
Well, the big thing now is Rob's got direct help behind him now too, right? So if they can get kind of caught back together and catch this front group, he'll have himself and Brophy to kind of be able to help control the race once they get towards the front of the field here.
Do want to welcome Altena Autosport driver Liam O'Sullivan to the chat. Liam watching us from jolly old England this evening. So he's up late, Jacob, or is he up late or up early? I never can figure that out. Anyway, we've got 3 wide for the lead. Ty Keela will move to the bottom of the speedway. He'll drive past Mason Mitchum and Blaze Andrich as those cars fight desperately to keep that conveyor belt going and hold the Power Slide Team Hype crew behind them at bay. But Brophy and Malechka are looming, and they're closing in, Jacob.
Yeah, bust out the Jaws music. I think they may be exercising an effort in futility, trying to keep that Power Slide duo at bay there, just outside the top 5 there. They're catching quick, and they've now properly gotten into the draft of Anna Klemek trailing that lead group.
3 wide one more time. They've dropped Klemek just a little bit. Either that or Anna has kind of decided that she would like no part of the 3 wide action. Would rather miss the accident than be a part of it. But these cars at the front, they're fighting after it tooth and nail, Jacob. And they've got good reason, because the Power Slide duo is now there.
And the big thing I'm noticing for Rob, especially through turn 3, is he doesn't seem to be moving his car around relative to those ahead of him. He's kind of sticking right in the kind of one of the middle 2 lanes around that turn 3 and carrying about as much momentum as you can dare without quite getting all the way out to that wall line. And he's been able to just keep it nice and steady through the corner. He's going to have Brophy look to the inside down Long Pond here, but I think that they're going to have something to say here before the end of this fuel stint.
Well, they've certainly been the power team, the power couple, the power trio when they're joined by Adam Blocker, for certain sure. And these ovals have really been their playground for quite some time. Jason Brophy has now gotten past Robert Malechka. Brophy is going to pull up on the rear wing of Anna Klemek. We don't want to take away from the battle for the lead, though, because it has been outstanding. Move Blaze Andrich to the point. Ty Keela second, Mitchum third, and Matt Hollybaugh now fourth. Those 3 Alliance cars now get into a train as they head down Long Pond straightaway. They're going to go 3 wide into the tunnel.
They sorted it out, but only just.
That doesn't usually work, boys. You don't want to do that too often. Look at how low, by the way, and you kind of see it in the background. Look at how low Jason Brophy is going through turn number 3. He was down against the rumble strips, down against the apron is Blaze Andrews. He's trying to go back to the lead, doesn't quite get it done. Ty Keela will move high. He'll shut off the air to Mason Mitchum, and now it's a Rogue Racing 1-2 with a friendly 4th. Brophy is now 5th, and he is there. Mitchum is going to file to the inside through the tunnel. He's going to try to go for the lead, and Brophy is going to try to go for 4th on Matt Hollybaugh.
Ty Keela held it nice and tough through the tunnel there. He's going to be just to the inside of Mason, heading off into turn 3 here. They may wind up side by side even before this lap's conclusion.
They may indeed. One of the things that Brophy and Malechka are going to be faced with here is that as you get further toward the front, as you get closer to the lead, Jacob, those cars get much, much, much harder to pass. In other words, there's a reason that they're up there. It gets exponentially harder the further forward you get. Also worth noting, Matt Taylor and Rashad Craig have started to inch forward. So I wanted to point that out as well as we near the pit stop. To get to the end, Jacob, what is it, 28 laps you'd want to be? So you'd want to stop no sooner than lap 52 if you wanted to go full tilt to the end?
Believe that sounds about right. You're going to see Ty Keela back to the inside of Mason Mitchum. Do want to point out, I think Matt Hollibaugh might have made contact with either a car just ahead of him or the outside wall, maybe both. Looks like he's okay for now, but that may cause some issues as we get further into the run if he's got a little bit of unseen aero damage on that car.
Well, let's take a look at it. The front wing does seem to be just a little bit askew, Jacob. It doesn't seem to be hurting him too much, but you can kind of see it. The left front wing is a little bit higher than the right front, so he's definitely had some contact there. Good eye.
And I think that'll be more important if he manages to get to the front of a line, right? You can make the car a bit more manageable, kind of bit pulled along in the draft, but if you end up at the front and have that bit of wing damage, it makes it so much harder to kind of maintain that speed in the clean stuff.
It does indeed. Back to the battle for the lead. It has been fast, Jacob, and furious. Mason Mitchum to the point. Andrich second. Ty Keela and Jason Brophy third and fourth. And we're starting to see some separation now as the tires get some wear. One of the things we haven't talked about is the weather. It's not a cold day in Pocono, but it's not exactly warm either. 72 in the air, 99 on the track. Now it just went to 100 on the track, so it's getting a little bit warmer, a little bit greasier. Wind out of the southwest at 10. That's not going to hurt anything too awful much, but just about perfect conditions. It is getting warmer, though, and the warmer it gets, the more the tires are going to wear.
Well, that was one thing I think we talked a good bit pre-race with a number of drivers, is that it didn't sound like there was going to be all that much tire wear. You know, it was kind of jokingly said you could maybe get 120 laps out of a single set of tires. Don't quite think we're going to see that many tonight, mostly because the race distance is only 2/3 of that distance. But I think ultimately you're going to see guys that have kind of figured out where they can position their cars to reduce that wear ever so slightly, still come out on top, as we see Jason Brophy to the point as he's hot on the heels of Andrich and Mitchum now.
That lead lasted all of one straightaway. Mason Mitchum says, not so fast, my friend. He drafts right back by Jason Brophy, goes back to the lead. Mitchum sticks it on the bottom. Brophy in lane 2. We should be able to credit Mason Mitchum with the lap led here, but Brophy will have it by the time we get back to turn 1, Jacob. If Blaze Andrich doesn't draft by both of them, here comes Andrich. He'll make it 3 wide temporarily, now 2 wide. It's Andrich that leads it into turn 1.
And the thing I've noticed now is that you've got these 3 at the front, but then you've got Ty Keela, who's made it back in, but that next car in line is going to be Robert Malechka. That's going to get interesting if he can finally get into this front battle here and kind of work with his teammate in Jason Brophy to kind of assert dominance at the front, as there's maybe 2 pairs of cars at this point. As Anna Clement kind of fallen by the wayside down in 6th or 7th now.
We've got Caleb Brashear way out of shape coming off of turn 3. That's going to cost him a ton of momentum. He'll fall back into the clutches of Rashad Craig. Matt Taylor in the i5G machine, it's worth mentioning, has made it into the top 10 for the first time, and so he took a little bit more of a conservative approach than did Malechka and Brophy. But Matt Taylor is slowly but surely coming. One of the early front runners, Marco Brazil, he is back in 11th. Mason Mitchum has fallen to 5th now as Brophy goes back to the lead over Blaze Andrich. And those two have now gone 2 by, they've got 2 distinct groups of 2, but the front 4 now have really formed a distinct breakaway over what we think is a wounded car of Matt Hollybaugh in 5th.
Yeah, and it's a duo of teammates apiece here. You've got, Brophy and Malechka for Power Slide. You've got Andrich and Keela for Rogue Racing. Obviously, Hollabaugh's a part of that alliance group with Satellite Racing between Rogue and Satellite, amongst others. But
Mitchum into the wall again. Yeah, Mason Mitchum just caught a piece of the wall again. That's twice now that he's knocked down the wall at the exit of turn number 2. We'll keep an eye on the number 10 machine of Mason Mitchum as we watch the battle at the front. It's going to be heavyweights as we enter the pit window. That pit window, by the way, opens the next time by to go full tilt, and that brings up an interesting tactical question, Jacob. Do you pit now if you're at the front of your Andrich, Brophy, Keela, or Malechka? If you're at the front, you don't lose a lap pitting under green here. If you can get that swap going, that can be advantageous over what we think is a wounded car in Matt Hollybaugh and another wounded car in Mason Mitchum trying to run you down.
Well, I think the big thing to keep in mind is that you almost want to have as many cars to help you with that as possible. We saw a good portion of this race being kind of dominated by a triple swap between the cars at the front of the field, especially as Brophy and Rob tried to kind of catch their way forward. Ultimately, that kind of has fizzled out as we now only have the 4 cars at the front of the field here. But I think you're going to have to pit together, and you're going to have to stick to one coordinated plan, or there's going to be no way that you make it through ahead of your competition here tonight. You know, we talk about things like pit road speeding. We haven't necessarily gotten to see it in a while on a big track like this, but that hybrid system, very, very tough to get the brakes locked down for these drivers heading off into the pit lane here.
Yeah, you want to discharge it before you. And speaking of discharging, Matt Hollibaugh's had enough. He's come to the pit lane. The cars behind in that second group have lost the draft, Jacob. They are 2 seconds in arrears of Rob Malechka. And so if I'm the guys at the front, you know, to be fair, I might want to get while the getting's good here. If we're pulling away, the status quo works.
Yeah, I think if I'm at the front of this field here, I run as long as I possibly can, pit as late as possible, you know, short stop, get as little fuel needed to be packed back in there as I can, and then head right back into the fray, ready to rip at full song for whatever remains.
Absolutely. If I were Klimek, or if I was Klimek, Taylor, Rashad Craig has moved into the 10th spot, I would be getting on the old horn saying, hey, do y'all want to come in and pit? Matt Hollibaugh comes back out, and he has lost a lap, and so Hollibaugh definitely with some damage, 13.3 on the pit stop, and that would tell me that Matt Hollibaugh has acquired a new front wing, Jacob.
Yeah, that 5-second repair does a number on the pit stop, regardless of how much fuel you got to stick back in it. And he'll hope that this cycle stays green long enough to work his way back onto the lead lap.
He most certainly will. Nobody else has thus far made it onto pit lane. Lilac Zier will change that. She is now headed for her pit stop. Like Matt Hollibaugh, she's going to lose a lap. Now Zier had the meatball damage earlier, and so she is not a factor. But she had run substantially longer than most of her peers. It's now for the record, Jacob, 2.5 seconds back to Mason Mitchum. So these front four are definitely pulling away.
Well, not only is this front four pulling away, I'm starting to see a bit more separation between the pairs here, too. You've got Andrich and Brophy at the front of this, and then Keela and Malechka in tow behind that. And that's starting to
Yellow is out. Marco Brazil hard in the wall. Matt Taylor also involved, as is the car of Mason Mitchum. Hard contact for those cars, and we'll go back and see it. Matt Taylor is there. There's Mitchum, and I think this is going to start ahead of them. It does not. There's Marco Brazil piling in. By the time that happens, Chris Albrecht, Mitchum, and Matt Taylor had already been involved. So let's see what we can see here, Jacob. They're coming down into turn number 3, and I'd be willing to bet you a shiny new dime that we're going to see cars come together at the exit of turn number 3. What do you think?
Well, it looks like Mason just lost the back of his car coming through the corner, and then everybody was stuck with nowhere to go as his car is spinning around backwards through the corner, and then everybody's just piling on in trying to find their way through it.
You know, I was proven wrong. I just lost a shiny new dime to my good friend Jacob Collins. We'll watch it on board from Matt Taylor in the Team i5G machine. Watch the car in front of him. The night, what is it? The Night Stalker, you said? Night Stalker, Night Crawler?
The Night Watch.
Night Watch. He's gonna lose the back end, and when he does, poor Matt Taylor just has nowhere to go, Jacob.
Yeah, and that's not too unlike, you know, a track like Milwaukee the corner's modeled after, right? Is you're carrying so much speed through that very, very wide arc that is that final corner here at Pocono. And it's just so hard to kind of redirect your car in a way that's not going to make contact with whatever's in the lane you chose to try to make your way through the corner with.
It is indeed. That's going to do two things. It's going to bring this field right back together. It's also going to give everybody in the field a chance, Jacob, to make their pit stop. Jason Brophy is your leader, and they are nowhere near the pace car, which is kind of interesting. The pace car has not yet come out. The pace car is still on the pit lane, and so that's an interesting That's an interesting one for me. Did you see that, Jacob?
I see a pace car on
there
the
it is.
track. Hollabah is going to be the first one behind.
There
it
it
now.
is. There it is. So Brophy down. I was still in replay mode. How about that? Brophy down, and he's going to grab his pit stall. These are going to be short stops. You only need to make it 20. You only need to make it 21 laps, and that 21 laps is not going to be all at full tilt. You're needing to do 19 at full chat. Brophy and Malechka lead the race off a pit road, followed by Andrich, Tykila, and Anna Klimek. Rashad Craig, how about this, gets off the pit lane in 6th spot.
That's going to be a good opportunity for him to kind of stick with this front group. You know, he's got friends up here in the likes of Tykila and Blaze Andrich. So if he could kind of work together with them, kind of lock out a couple spots here in the later stages of this race, that's not going to be a bad night for Rashad, especially given how deep in the field he started here tonight.
It is indeed. It's, that's kind of what Rashad does, though. It's a very Rashad Craig-like race. We didn't mention his name until we sought him out. I look up, there's going to be 20 green flag laps to finish it, and Rashad Craig is in it with he's there, and he's got a chance to post a top 5 finish, if not win the thing. You're looking back on Matt Hollabah in the satellite racing entry. He will go past the pace car after they get to the start finish line, and he'll have a chance to rejoin at the back of the lead lap. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. We have a massive crowd here tonight. Jacob, if you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you can get a notification of all future iRacing action here on the channel. Of course, tonight it's Indy Open in the Indy Next Road Series. Tomorrow night you've got the Indy Fixed Oval Series as well as the Indy Next Oval Series. They have it off next week, but the Area 51 Series will return next a week from tomorrow with their race at Atlanta. And I was informed that is the oldest continuously running league in iRacing, or in IndyCars on iRacing. They're celebrating their 20th season, Jacob. How about that?
That's almost as long as I've been around, Mark.
I'm going to tell you what, the other one we saw a barn burner of a finish last night in the Dark Horse DW12 series. That is the longest running DW12 series in the sim. Of course, the DW12, the previous specification of these cars with the universal aero kit that came about when those cars were introduced. Wednesday nights, you've got the Horizon INDYCAR Series as well as the Formula Indy Series. Thursday, you can join LGN for the Elite Racing League Next Series as well as, or Indy Light Series, as well as in just about a month, Jacob, we're going to have the stock cars back. It's the AMA Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series along with the Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series on Friday. And once the real life series begins, the INDYCAR iRacing Series will be here on Saturday. So we've got a fun schedule lined up for everybody, and we hope you join us. We're getting ready to go back to green. The Power Slide private label team hype group, Jason Brophy, Robert Malechka are going to lead them back to green. Blaze Andrich, Tykila for Road Racing.
Green flag.
Blaze Andrich got a solid launch here. He's right on the back of Malechka here. They've got basically a 3-car breakaway ever so slightly here at the front of the field.
They do indeed. We're going to go back to the weather one more time because it had been getting warmer. It has now gotten cooler, 72 in the air, but 98 on the track. The wind has shifted slightly, and it's got a little bit more stiff now out of the due south at 12 miles an hour. And so the conditions are just about ideal here. We've also got a short fuel run, and Jacob, that is going to be key because it's not going to have very much tire wear. You're going to be looking at a shootout between what I would say is probably going to be about the top 6 cars. The thing for Anna Klimek, and she is disappearing and reappearing back there, the thing for Anna Klimek is she doesn't really have any friends. Mitchum and Indy Kirkenbauer would have been her 2 corporate teammates. Mitchum, of course, out of the race. Indy Kirkenbauer is now 15th. It's shaping up to be a power slide versus the Alliance show here as we get down to 19 laps to go.
Yeah, 1/4 distance remains, just a little under it rather, and we've got basically a perfect split between those two teams there at the front of the field. It's going to be interesting to see if these road drivers can kind of work their way back into this, if Ty Keeler can kind of work his way forward ever so slightly now. If he can maybe help Andrich mount a charge back around the likes of Malechka.
You know, we'll see it. Anna Klimek is having significant connection issues. We'll show you what that looks like here in just a few moments, but she is strobing on this race course. We're watching on board Ty Keeler as he looks off toward the front 3. He's choosing to kind of hang out a little bit. Anna Klimek has now ceded the position to Rashad Craig, and Rashad now all over the back of Ty Keeler. Let's get on the gearbox and see if Anna's connection has stabilized. And there's the deer. You'd hate to see somebody get DC'd, especially in a race this big and in a position like this, Jacob.
That certainly would be tough to see, especially given the run of form Anna's had these last couple weeks in the IndyCar Series here on P1 and in general. Very strong performance so far throughout the season. I believe she's leading both championships as it stands right now.
Well, and that's something she wants to keep in mind too, Jacob. It's been since Adam Blocker in the pre-COVID times that anybody's been able to claim both championships at the same time. You want to talk about rarefied air? The last 2 people to even win in both series in the same week were Adam Blocker and Robert Malechka. You've got the likes of Brandon Trano and Chris Demerit in that group as well. When you start putting names like that out there, you know you've accomplished something pretty incredible, and that's the company that Anna Klimek is currently keeping, and she's currently keeping Rashad Craig company. The connection seems to have stabilized for Anna at the moment. The front of this field is also pretty stable. You've got 2 power slide cars, then 4 Alliance cars, then Anna Klimek. Or 3 Alliance cars, excuse me, then Anna Klimek.
Yeah, it's stabilized. You can see just off in the distance there, the likes of Frisky Frankie. He's had a quiet night by and large. You know, the likes of Logan Edwards. He's worked his way into the top 10. And, you know, they have an outside shot of kind of working their way into this front battle should anything start to transpire here in terms of on-track action at the front of the field.
They do. Now, we noticed those Luke Mansky Racing Esports cars, as well as the P1 Docks with Fiercely Ford with P1 Docks machine of Alan Berteau start to fade to the back a little bit when it came down, when it got to a longer run. They don't need to worry about that right here, though, because there isn't going to be a long run. It's really a 2/3 length dash for the cash, so to speak. And so you don't really have to worry about the handling going away. And to the top side of Rashad Craig with a power move, that's Frisky Frankie Wynn.
Yeah, Frank Wynn came to play. That is what his namesake is, after all. So he's trying to keep it nice and playful here at the front of the field. Well, that's going to invite a lot of these cars, you know, running towards the back of this top 10 back into this race.
Well, you saw what happened to him. He chose high going through turn number 3, went into a wall of dirty air from Andrich and Ty Keeler. Rashad Craig went right back around him, and that's going to give Anna Klimek a chance to get back by Frankie Wynn through turn number 1. They draw side by side, but Frank is going to have the draft, the preferred line at the exit. Anna Klimek forced to fall back in line, and she's going to have a boatload of trouble coming in the form of Logan Edwards.
Yeah, the more these cars start to kind of fight amongst each other, the harder it's going to be for them to work their way forward. You know, we're seeing that kind of hold steady of the 3 cars at the front with both power slide entries in Blaze Andrich. And, you know, Ty Keeler's maybe the bridge that's going to connect them, but if they keep kind of scrapping amongst themselves, that bridge is going to collapse faster than they think.
Well, and scrap they are, and scrap they will. Rashad Craig has moved it into fourth. Somebody told the former champion, light the fuse. It's time to launch that rocket. Rashad has moved into fourth now, and he is going to do battle with the likes of Blaze Andrews, Rob Malechka, and Jason Brophy. Now, to be fair, Blaze Andrews does not have a lot of experience at the sharp end of an oval top split open race. Rashad Craig has a ton of experience fighting with Brophy and Malechka. And so if it comes down to experience, you would tend to favor Craig over Andrich. But Blaze Andrews has driven extremely well tonight, as has Ty Keela, who also has a lot of experience at these things.
Well, let's not give Blaze too much of a discount here too either. Had a couple more of those pro qualifying races for this previous running of the Pro Series qualifications gone a bit differently. We might have seen him in the likes of that IndyCar Thrustmaster Pro Series. So certainly no slouch on ovals or road courses for Mr. Andrich. He's just kind of making his fresh round towards the start of the year here.
He is. I seem to recall in one of those races he might have made it, if not but for having his wheel disconnect while he was in prime position to score a top 5 finish at one of those races. And so I wasn't meaning to discount him. I was simply pointing out he doesn't have the same amount of experience as the two cars behind him when it comes down to this. I tell you what, we've got some experience with, Jacob, is a big crowd on hand. Over 70 people watching this live. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to P1 so that you too can be a part of all of the iRacing action here on the P1 Broadcasting Network. You've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins. We are under 25 miles, less than 10 laps to go here at Pocono. The Power Slide private label team hype duo of Jason Brophy and Robert Malechka lead a 4-car Alliance trio. Make that 4. Matt Hollybaugh has hooked to the back of this train. So let's see now. They've got 4 cars in a row behind the 2 pros.
Yeah, we saw Hollybaugh take some damage earlier on, kind of lose this front group. Ultimately went a lap down through the cycle and got bailed out, got back on the lead lap. And he's going to try to work his way past his Alliance teammates in Rashad Craig and Ty Keela heading off into turn 1 and make a bid for the win here tonight.
Most certainly is. Andrich just continues to stalk Jason Brophy and Robert Malechka. He has not moved, has not varied from behind those two Power Slide cars for this entire run. It's almost like he's stalking his prey, Jacob.
I think he knows just as well as we do this is likely going to come down to a last lap pass somewhere around the speedway, potentially coming to that start-finish line. He's just trying to get an idea of maybe where he can mount that final charge coming to the line here before this race closes itself out.
Yes, he is. He's going to drop to the bottom on Jason Brophy. I think that's just for clean air purposes more than anything else, Jacob. So when do you make that move? I'll ask you the question. When do you make that move, Jacob? Do you wait? Do you wait till? I mean, I hate to make it like a movie. Do you wait till the last lap? Do you go with 3 to go, 4 to go? Do you just take what opportunity avails itself? What are you? When would you go if you were Mr. Andrich?
Well, if history's to repeat itself, I think it's going to take 2 to tango here as we go 3 wide into turn 1.
How about right now?
He's gonna well, I think the thing he's trying to figure out is if he's able to make the move past both of those cars on his own, right? He's got Ty Keela working with him now, but I think those two are going to have to work together and set up one slingshot move, maybe heading off into turn 3, but they're going to get awfully close together here. Big bout of momentum loss there coming through turn 2, but they're going to have to get these cars worked together here to make that one slingshot move potentially around both cars, heading through into turn 3, maybe off of turn 3, to get somebody in a position to steal it away from those Power Slide drivers at the front.
You know, something I noticed, Jacob, when Blaze made that run, Rob Malechka laid off a couple of car lengths from Jason Brophy, And Malechka started to build a run toward Brophy almost as soon as he saw Andrich moving forward to make that move. That just illustrates how closely those two cars are able to work together. It also shows you how difficult it's going to be to pass him. Andrich completed the move, and then immediately the two power slide cars were able to make the move back around him. Daylight between Malechka and Brophy there, Jacob.
Well, I think the big thing this boils down to is experience and chemistry, right? We've seen it in a lot of very, very high-profile events, even over just the last couple of years between Brophy and Malechka, where they're able to work together very, very well on these big kind of super speedway-style ovals here. You know, we see it, you know, at the likes of Indianapolis year after year. They're always in the hunt every time we go to that facility. It's one of those things where I think as well as you know yourself, you need to know who you're working with as well. And that's just something that these drivers are having to come and try and overcome. Is one of the most experienced duos in the IndyCars on ovals here.
Yes, they are. Ty Keela now going to try to move under Blaze Anders. Thinks better of it. Hops back in line. Malechka goes back to the point. Brophy second. Andrich is third, and he's going to have a big run. But you see the gap between Brophy and Malechka? It makes the run that he's trying to get almost impossible, Jacob.
Yeah, we kind of talked about controlling the lanes, controlling the field here once these cars got to the front here, and that's exactly what they've been doing. And that's why it's been so difficult for Blaze to kind of wedge himself into a position to make a pass on his own. That's why I'm thinking ultimately he's going to need a bit of help here as we're coming to 2 to go with those power slide cars ready to lock this one out.
2 fingers in the air from Barney. We're 3 wide going into turn number 1. Andrich all the way to the bottom. Can he make this one stick? He's got a shot at it. Move Blaze Andrich to the point. He didn't quite get there. Now Malechka's going to come back on the high side, and Brophy is going to drop to the bottom, make it 3 wide. Blaze Andrich is going to be the monkey in the middle.
Yeah, just not enough momentum to clear Malechka off of turn number 1 there. They'll be side by side behind Brophy heading into turn 3, but I think Malechka's going to have the momentum here, as is Ty Keela working all the way up on the higher lanes of the track here. They're going to have one more shot at it as we get the white flag in the air.
Barney's got the white flag in the air. 1 more lap, 2.5 miles to decide it. Can Blaze Andrich make his way around the 2 pros in front of him? He wants to do it. He drops to the bottom one more time. Can Andrich clear? He does not. Now Brophy is going to get behind Andrich. He's going to make it 3 wide. This is almost exactly how the last lap went. Now Andrich played that a little bit differently. He's going to be side by side with Malechka, but I don't think he's going to have enough steam to get back. It's going to be Jason Brophy coming off of turn number 4. He's going to look at the checkered flag from Barney. It's very close, but Brophy will win from Robert Malechka, Blaze Andrich, Matt Hollibaugh, and Ty Keela, your top 5.
How about it for Matt Hollibaugh? Had that played out a little bit differently, he might have been right in there in the thick of it come the end of this one himself.
Well, I don't think it's any doubt about it. He was most certainly in the thick of it. But Brophy and Malechka, that pro duo, awfully tough, Jacob. A little celebratory spinning going on behind there. It's going to be Jason Brophy, your winner. Rob Malechka and Blaze Andrich will round out the podium. Matt Hollibaugh and Ty Keela are the remainder of your top 5. Rashad Craig makes it a 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Alliance. Anna Klimek, last week's dual winner, will come home in 7th. Alan Berteau, Logan Edwards, and Caleb Brashear uphold the honors for Fiercely Ford and Luke Mansky Racing Esports, 8th, 9th, and 10th. In 11th, Indy Kirkenbauer. He's the lone remaining Velocity Racing League team member. Ella Spice is 12th. Alistair Khan, 13th. Frisky Frankie Wynn is going to be 14th. Tyler Villamere, the last car in the race, classified 16th. Crash Neon 17th. Lilac Zier, Early Trouble, brings it home 17th. Out of the race, Marco Brazil, Chris Albrecht, and Mason Mitchum through P20. In 21st, Matt Taylor, Kyle Clinworth 22nd, Casey Popolonis, The Cheese Man 23rd, Guillermo Miguel 24th, and Shotgun on the field, Seb Alexander in 25th. That was a fun one, Jacob.
Certainly was, and we got ourselves kind of one of those classic Pocono finishes where you had a potential for 6 cars to win the race come the end of the going.
We most certainly did. Let's see if we've got any drivers in the interview room. Let's go ahead and bring in.
I have to try to push it.
Let's go ahead and bring in.
Oh.
Third place finisher, Blaze Andrich. Blaze, you've got Murph, and you've got the main man, the straw that stirs the drink, Jacob Collins, in the P1 broadcasting booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
Indeed, you do. So we saw you make try after try at the power slide duo in front. You had some friends behind you to help. Was it just a matter of you could get by one, but there wasn't enough momentum to get by two, or what do you think you could have done differently to make that pass?
Yeah, essentially the whole try was just to try to set up a run into turn one where I could get past one, try to set up Ty to get past the other, or just solidify getting past one. Power slide team hype, they're so good at what they do, and they either knew exactly what we were trying to do, or they just blocked out every possible scenario of us getting past them. Yeah, great race for the whole crew. Sorry to Matt for kind of clipping his wing. I'm glad that he was able to bring it back to a P4. Well done to him. But yeah, great race. Well done to the power slide guys.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, you kind of talked about needing to have Ty kind of break up that lead duo here and kind of walk us through how difficult it is to have to work through essentially having to operate against 2 cars, with 2 other cars, right? You have to kind of coordinate it in such a tight window, and how difficult it is to get cars put in the spot that you need them to make those moves late in the going.
Yeah, I mean, this track it's got probably the longest straights of an oval on the calendar. I don't know how it compares with Indy, but the turns are set up so that, the top line is just so strong just because down the stretches you get such a draft. And the power slide drivers, Rob and Jason, they were able to take advantage of that, give each other draft. And I tried to give Ty as much draft as I could down the inside, but the inside just doesn't have the momentum down the straights as the outside does. I knew we weren't going to be able to bully our way into the outside lane. So, yeah.
Well, and that's the mark of a really crafty driver. Sometimes you got to fight with what you got to fight with, and you got to take what you're given. You almost managed to pull off. The upset. You do get to the podium on an oval, which, Blaze, that is very, very impressive. Given the company that you were in and the company you were fighting against. With that said, my man, you know the drill by now. You're getting to be a regular visitor in here. Friends, family, sponsor shoutouts. The floor is yours.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't send out the link to any of my family, so maybe I'll send the replay out to them. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's watching on the Rogue crew, supporting the Rogue crew. Thanks to you guys in P1 for putting these on every Monday, and all the others that you put on for us, the community. And thanks to the whole Rogue crew for putting together such a great setup and putting together such a great effort.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for dropping in, Blaze. Keep going fast and having fun, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. That is Blaze Andrich. He will finish today in the 3rd spot. For second, we're gonna call on a man who doesn't finish second very often in one of these. Rob, you've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. Was it a matter of playing? Was it a matter of playing blocky for Brophy, or were you trying to win it? And how concerned were you with the four team cars behind you?
Yeah, I mean, we both went pretty light on fuel there that last stop, so we weren't exactly sure how much we had to save to the end, but those first few green flag laps, the number was looking pretty big for us. But we knew as long as we could, be in the top four, top five with 3 to 4 to go with the lightest car possible, um, that was going to be our objective, and that really worked out well for us. So, yeah, I guess decent race. Went to back to the front on a shop set on good old. I guess I can plug POCONO that I built for. So, um, yeah, for myself to do that well, be in contention for the win against a definitely a few open setups, I'll take it.
Mr. Collins?
Yeah, we kind of watched you hang back alongside with Mr. Brophy in the opening stint, kind of biding your time, waiting for kind of the strategy to present itself or play out, if you will. And then come kind of the middle portion of the race, we watched that charge to the front. Kind of talk us through the bit of patience that it takes to kind of play the waiting game and then know when to make your move to the front.
Yeah, honestly, on a setup that I built, I wasn't really sure exactly how to handle those first 5-10 laps of a stint, and just in really heavy traffic. So it was a bit of kind of figuring out exactly what I needed from the car and with the in-car tools. Just trying a whole bunch of things those first probably 40-50 laps. Um, and then got pretty strung out there. It seems like people were struggling on the long run, and I still felt really, really good. Like all my tire temps and my tire wear were in amazing spots. Um, and I think if that went green, those last probably 5-6 laps, I was going to be an absolute rocket ship because my tires were in perfect condition compared to those around me. So it was a bit of a shame that we didn't get any green flag stops, but yeah, it's just one of those races where it is a bit packy. So just kind of ride around, bide your time, and have a few people make some mistakes and capitalize on those and get up front and be in it to have a shot.
That's the name of the game. Being in it at the end with a chip and a chair, and you were certainly there. I gotta ask, what's the helmet artwork? You're debuting a new paint scheme for the Pro Series, obviously, and kudos on that honor. And good luck with that adventure. Back at it for a second stab. But what's the helmet?
So some people are gonna kill me, but I guess apparently it's a Pokemon. Honestly, I just have it because I think it's funny. And it looks, in all those screenshots, right? It stands out, and people look at it right away. So, along with the eye-popping livery, get an eye-popping helmet that makes people laugh. So, yeah, honestly, I couldn't tell you what Pokemon it is. It might not even be a Pokemon. I thought it is, but yeah, I couldn't tell you.
No worries. Definitely caught my eye. It's kind of the same thing. If you ever get that shot with me, it's my helmet is Burt Reynolds from Stroker Ace. And so people are, is that Burt Reynolds on your helmet? Absolutely. But for you, that helmet was definitely caught my eye, Rob. Congratulations on the podium. Congratulations on another run in the Pro Series. We're all cheering for you. Friends, family, sponsors, shout outs. The microphone belongs to you.
Yeah, just I guess first, thank you guys for always broadcasting. It's good to have the community on a spotlight, both the open and fixed side. But yeah, for us, it's just all eyes forward on the Pro Series. We got
Well, that's definitely a place that you're pretty doggone good
the
at.
first 2 rounds were going to be tough for us. Just knowing, yeah, just first 2 rounds were we knew were going to be tough, but once we get into I think we got 3 ovals, 3 road courses left, so this is where we as a team can make some great ground, and hopefully on these 3 3 oval rounds, excuse me, that we can have at least 4 or 5 of us up front together, and yeah, it all starts with Indianapolis. So if we can't execute there, then it's gonna be upward battle from there anymore.
I was going to say, if you're going to go to a place where you guys are known to be very, very good, Indy would be the place. I'll let you get out of here. Keep going fast and having fun, my friend. We'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, I'll say this, but like Indy's gonna be cold. It's gonna be a lot different than what people expect from when watching in May. So Um, you would think we have the upward on everyone, but with it being cold and honestly, I don't think sub's going to really mean anything. So just going to be using our knowledge and putting ourselves in the right spot. So yeah, thanks.
There you go. You seem to have a knack for it, buddy. Keep going fast and having fun. You hear?
Yeah, we'll do.
That is Rob Malechka. He will finish second today. For the man standing in victory lane, he's holding the flag, the trophy, and the money. That would be Jason Brophy. Brophy, you've got Murph, you've got Jacob Collins in the P1 broadcasting booth. I'll ask you the same question I asked Rob. You two got to the front, and then you looked up and saw four team cars behind you. Was that worrisome, or were you happy to have another power slide car right behind you to kind of play defense?
I mean, if I was going to ask to have anyone there at the end, having Rob there, like having 3 drivers. I really didn't have to do anything special that whole last run. I kind of surprised the shuffling didn't start earlier. Try and shuffle us back or do something, but I sat there and rode and kind of saved some fuel. I'd cut it a little too tight, but yeah, I just at that point, once we got to the top 2, I feel pretty confident in the 2 of us, especially with Rob there. We're like, Rob is so good at that. I really just drove normal laps. The only difference is when we went 3, I just had to set up a run in 1. That was it. As long as he got there in 1, it was easy for me to get clear by the time we got to 2. And it made my job about as easy as it gets. So still was a little worried with like 6 to go on fuel. Thought the swapping would get me a little better, and it turns out it didn't. But I ran out after the line, and that's what matters. So perfect job.
Hey, as long as it runs to the flag, it doesn't have to run any further after that. So the calculator worked perfectly, right?
Yeah, calculator worked perfect. I kind of expected at some point somebody would shove their way to the front. It didn't happen till late, and I feel like maybe too late. But as I said, made my job easy. Rob couldn't ask for a better teammate there. So good race. Completely different setups. I was working on something kind of our own that we used previously. Rob went with his own P1 dock set because he's Rob. Actually, it was probably fine. I had some issues mid race with being tight. Yeah, I happy with the car, but the race was actually pretty good for the weather. That was one of the concerns with the added hybrid weight. Seems like you run a little colder. So
there you go, Jacob.
Yeah, you kind of talked about Rob being effectively multiple drivers behind you here, and how much of that kind of is just the experience you have working together with him and knowing what he's capable of doing in these situations, especially on some of these bigger ovals where obviously Indianapolis kind of runs, somewhat similarly to a point, but you have obviously a lot of experience working through that. And what does that help you with being able to kind of work your way at the front of the field here?
I have full confidence that Rob knows what he's going to do. And I just had to keep repeating the same thing. I didn't have to do anything on my end. It was all Rob just manipulating where he's at, stand beside people. If he's just so good at that with me being the lead car, it made my life easy. I've played a lot of defense, and it's not easy. So what Rob was doing there is more impressive than anything I did today. Just being able to stay side by side with Blaze, keep him boxed in enough that he gets the dirty air in 3, which keeps him from making a huge run and getting clear before the corner. It's just a game of cat and mouse, and Rob's an expert at it. I think it was a really good game of cat and mouse. The added weight, I've been struggling with the added weight a bit with the hybrid, and I tend to overturn the wheel and scrub the right front too much. But yeah, it's just a game of cat and mouse that Rob's. I mean, he is a professional for a reason. We're going to Indy this week, and I expect him to run up front and do that same kind of stuff because he's just so good at it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've also been one of those guys with the special rear wing, and you're just as good, especially around one of these, Jason. With the win go the spoils. The audience at P1 is yours, and it is a big one. So friends, family, sponsors, go right ahead. You've earned it.
Hey, this is my second straight win in the Open SOF, I think, 'cause I won the S3 race too. So pretty good at Pocono. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. Debuted the new paint here. Cosman painted us another really good paint. Obviously, the pro drivers get to use it more, but at least I get to show off mine a bit. So Ty and Ty Stover, Tommy Milner for bringing us onto the team. Still supporting it through the Pro Series here. We've added a couple people for the Pro Series, Adam and Jacob. Great to work with. Jacob missed out tonight. I'm really disappointed. It would have been his first opportunity to not get bullied by Power Slide in a Pocono race, but sounds like he fell asleep, old man. And thanks to everybody in the community. I mean, that was a fun race. I know there were some incidents. I'll go back and review it, and to my teammates, really Rob especially. So,
well, cheers, Brophy. Keep going fast, having fun, and we'll see you at the next one.
See you later.
Yes, sir. That is tonight's winner, Jason Brophy. That is a really, really good driver, Jacob. It's a shame to not see him in the Pro Series, as good as he is, but we're going to see him up front a lot in this series for sure.
Yeah, certainly. You know, there's only so many spots to go around, and they have to cut somebody at the end of the day, right?
That they do. We do want to. I'll tell you what didn't get cut was the audience tonight. It was a massive one. We certainly want to thank everybody for joining in here on P1 because that makes it all the more special for us. If you want to hang around, we've got the Indy Next Series live from Zandvoort. That's going to be at 9 o'clock. So just about 20 minutes is going to be over there with another really awesome show tomorrow night. Doubleheader. It is the Indy Oval Series at 7:15, followed by the Indy Next Oval Series at 8:30. Wednesday nights. It's off. It's off tomorrow, but on the 27th, the Area 51 Series, the oldest continuously running INDYCAR League on iRacing, they're going to be back from Atlanta on the 27th. Wednesday nights, the Horizon INDYCAR Series will run at 8. The Formula Indy Series at 8:20. On Thursday, you can catch LGN with the Elite Racing League Indy Lights Series, and then beginning here in about a month, we're going to have the American Motorsport Association Outland Custom Arms Grand National Series. Fridays is the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series, all live here on P1. Those will be a 7:50 pre-race, 8:20 race start. Beginning with the real life season, we're going to have the iRacing INDYCAR Series on Saturdays, and on Sundays you can catch either the Votive Racing League or the Dark Horse DW12 Series right here, 8 o'clock on P1. We do want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already done it, make sure you smash the like button on the video. Ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of all of our iRacing content. Do want to thank the drivers, their teams, their friends, their families, all the fans that tuned in. We thank you, but we also want to thank the people that really make it possible. The police, the firemen, the military, the paramedics that drive the ambulance, and the nurse that unloads you when you get there. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you all. We will see you in 20 minutes for the Indy Next Series. Have a great night, everybody.